following a result that sends shockwaves at the top of the Eastern Conference table. Loudoun United and Ryan Martin will try to play the role of spoiler one more time as they play host to playoff hopefuls in Anthony Pulis and St. Louis FC right here at Segra Field in beautiful Leesburg, Virginia. And tonight's game, as always, presented by our friends over at Segra. Tyler Terrence along with former Manchester United keeper and Gary Bailey. Thank you so much for tuning in for a little midweek madness in the USL Championship. We'll take a look at the Eastern Conference table as it stands. For Loudoun United, eliminated from playoff contention, they'll live to fight another year in 2020. As for St. Louis FC, they're probably not going to be able to catch the likes of the Ottawa Fury. They're locked in at 9th place in terms of how high they can go, but they do have the possibility of falling out of playoff contention if the Charleston Battery and Birmingham Legion are to turn it up a notch and St. Louis are to fall in the remaining 3 games. Birmingham are in action tonight in Wednesday Night Soccer against the Hartford Athletic. But, Gary, I want to talk briefly about this Loudoun United side because they've welcomed some of the best teams in the Eastern Conference to Segra Field, and they've done extremely well, including this 2-0 win over the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Yeah, and Doyle with a goal, beautifully set up down that right-hand side by the pace of Adoy Atsum. They looked absolutely fantastic, and then they finished it off in the 93rd minute. The ball comes to Gordon Wild, and he's going to have some fun. Kuda Pietro with a pass. Gordon Wild does this way, that way, past the keeper, 2-0. Thank you for coming, 3 points in the bag.
Gordon Wild has been a man on fire for Ryan Martin. Meanwhile, for St. Louis FC, they had that stretch where they won 5 games in a row, but since then, Gary, they have not gotten a win in their last 3. They've been shut out twice, only scoring 1 goal on the heels of that 1-0 loss against Louisville.
Yes, in the last match it was that game against Louisville. Couldn't get any points, couldn't even get a goal. Rasmussen here with the shot past Thomas Gomez, and they couldn't get back into it, St. Louis. A really bad day at the office just when they needed it most.
And if you are St. Louis FC, Gary, you're taking on a Loudoun United side. Obviously, that is not in playoff contention, but when you look at their final 2 games, it's a doozy. You're at home against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds and Bob Lilly, one of the hottest sides in the USL Championship, and then you're at North Carolina FC and Dave Sarakin. If you are Anthony Pulis, you're thinking now's the time, we need 3 points.
Oh, absolutely crucial tonight. You're 100% right. You don't want to leave it to those 2 games. Anything could happen against class and quality opponents. Not that Loudoun aren't. It's just that, as you say, they don't have that much to play for. They're a younger side, and it's a side that St. Louis, they've got to have desperation in their play. They've really got to chuck everything at Loudoun United. Thomas Gomez has got to keep a clean sheet to keep his team in it. So everything for St. Louis to do it, and they've got to do it tonight.
Well, they're 2 points clear of Birmingham and Charleston at the moment with a big result, and perhaps Birmingham stumbling against Hartford. It could be 5 points. Loudoun United have really enjoyed this role of spoiler over the past few weeks. It's Loudoun and St. Louis Football Club, and we come back. All right, almost ready for kickoff here in Leesburg, Virginia at Seger Field. Tyler Terrence along with Gary Bailey, and we are officially underway. St. Louis FC could really use with 3 points given their next 2 games. Loudoun United coming off of that terrific 2-0 win against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. We'll run through the starters quickly for the visitors. Sean Reynolds, Fanuel Kavita, Sam Fink, Matt Boehner along the back line, Kadeem Dakers, Lewis Hilton, Oscar Umar, Masta Kasher, and up top it's Kyle Gregg and Tyler Blackwood. Meanwhile, for Ryan Martin and Loudoun United in their all-red kits, Peebo Due, Shane Witt, Harry Hawkins, and Chris Odoyatsem. Antonio Bustamante and Nelson Martinez, the holding midfielders for Ryan Martin. Elvis Samo, Kyle Murphy, Gordon Wild in the middle of the field, and Alioune Ndor up top for the group that is looking to have a second straight consecutive big result against the playoff hopeful side, and this specifically St. Louis side that really could use with 3 points. Not having gotten a win in their last 3 matches following a 5-match winning streak. And this has been a very up and down season for St. Louis. For the first 7 or 8 weeks, Gary, they were the talk of the town, the top of the table. They make a big run in the U.S. Open Cup. And then all of a sudden, it's a hangover that lasts somewhere about 7 to 8 weeks. And they really struggled after that, but they've been able to string some results together to be able to put themselves in a spot to make the postseason. But, as we already talked about with the likes of Charleston and Birmingham nipping at their heels only 2 points off, every single game, every single moment, every single decision could have massive effects in terms of trying to make the postseason.
Oh, 100%. This is a huge, huge night for St. Louis. And in some level, I really feel they deserve it. Their U.S. Open Cup run was top class. They eventually went out to Atlanta United in the quarterfinals. They were brilliant along the way. But like you say, there was a hangover. And it's a hangover that has lasted so long, they might not make the next party, which is the playoffs. And they've tried everything. And even against Louisville City on the weekend, Louisville City played so well that St. Louis just couldn't get what they wanted from the match. But they've got to look at Loudoun. And with all due respect to Loudoun, they've got to say, hey, Loudoun don't need this as badly as we do. If we put the extra effort in, the extra desire, surely we can come away with 3 points here this evening.
Sometimes it can be the sides that don't have anything to play for that can be dangerous. The pressure is off. You're not necessarily worried about making mistakes because in reality there's no tangible repercussion as far as the table is concerned. As Elvis Samo picks that pass off and is looking to run the other way, but realizes St. Louis did well to get back behind the ball. Loudoun United will keep it. Mentioned Nelson Martinez and Antonio Bustamante. That has been the pairing playing the holding central midfielder role for Ryan Martin that he's like to go to more times than not. As far as the center back pairing and Harry Hawkins and Shane Witt, that's become more of a regularity over the past few weeks or so. Hawkins directing traffic. It's a good entry ball in, but Ndor couldn't hang out to it after scoring his first goal in the Loudoun United kit against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Good chance here on the other end for Blackwood, and it's just wide. That is Tyler Blackwood in a nutshell. Very much an opportunist. And if you give him even an inch, he'll take about 4 or 5 miles.
He's very quick and he's sharp. He's a newbie to the team. He's excited. They're all working with him. And maybe he's the one to bring in some energy that those who've been playing all season need. Look at that. He gets a shot away. 2 red shirts. Very tight on him. But, you know, besides Tyler Blackwood, Kyle Gregg's got to come to the party. What a good player he is. Lewis Hilton in midfield's got to find that energy he had earlier in the season. Sam Fink's got to drive them from the back. And he's already scored 7 goals this season. Today's a good one for an 8th or 9th. So the big players have to step up for St. Louis tonight.
Gordon Wild trying to take it off the first time. Always going to be difficult in the end. Wild had the insurance goal for Loudoun United against Tampa Bay, and Ndor got things started. Poor giveaway from St. Louis. Bustamante finding Wild. Now it's Kyle Murphy with his back to goal. We did have one change to the starting 11, really about 20-25 minutes before kickoff, Gary, and it was Theodore Cuti-Pietro who was taken out of the lineup. You insert Kyle Murphy, and it'll be interesting to see where Murphy is going to slide in. It looks like he's playing in either a number 9 or number 10 role, and we'll see how Ndor lines up.
I think it was bad news for St. Louis when they saw Kyle Murphy with 10 goals this season. They're thinking, no, come on, this is a huge match for us. We need the 3 points. But Loudoun is such a good side in so many ways. Depends how they play it, but they've got wonderful talent in so many positions. And as I showed against Tampa Bay, when they really get it together, they can be a hard team to beat. So this could be a really tough night yet again for St. Louis tonight.
Mentioned before that this Loudoun United group has welcomed some of the best and the brightest of the Eastern Conference to Seger Field as of late. 2-0 loss at home against Nashville, a 2-1 loss at home against Pittsburgh. They take down Tampa Bay by a score of 2-0, but after this, then they go to Charleston and they host New York Rebels too. So it doesn't get any easier for Ryan Martin's group at the end of the 2019 campaign, their inaugural season. Harry Hawkins striding forward. Good ball in for Murphy. Pushed all the way out wide. Here's Adoyatsum. His delivery blocked by Matt Boehner. And Kyle Murphy will see it out of play in a corner kick coming up, the first of the evening, and it's in favor of the home side.
I think very much for St. Louis tonight, it doesn't really matter how they play. For Loudoun, they want to play well. There's not much at stake in terms of playoffs because they're out of that. But their players want to impress the manager, want to impress the fans. Good football on order for Loudoun. For St. Louis, it's all about 3 points tonight and nothing else.
Gordon Wild, not his best delivery at the near post, takes an awkward bounce and eventually falls for Lewis Hilton. And Gordon Wild did well. Adoyatsum, who had the assist on the indoor goal. Elvis Amo, who's dropped into a bit of a more deeper role for Ryan Martin over the past few weeks. We were used to seeing him in the number 9, but he's moved out to the wing over the past few matches. Kyle Murphy finds Bustamante, who bounces it back for Nelson Martinez.
This is good defending here from St. Louis. The way they like it, they tend to defend deep. And Anthony Pulis has said on many occasions he feels his team is at their best when they're defending and then counter-attacking. You can see it's been mostly Loudoun with possession, as it was mostly Lou City on the weekend with possession. It does make you tired. You've got to do a lot of running, and when it comes to the end of the season, that can affect your legs.
Good diagonal ball the other way. Adoyatsum surveying. Good ball to the edge of the area. Bustamante got caught with it. Oscar Umar cleans it up. Nelson Martinez wanted to put in the challenge, but Umar with terrific pace, still trying to sprint away from the opposition. Sergei Demianchuk was right on hand, elects not to blow the whistle, and it goes all the way back for Earl Edwards Jr.
I thought there was a little bit of contact there. And I don't think Oscar Umar is going to be too happy about not getting the foul. But the game goes on. Never mind what the referees do, as long as they're consistent. So if a little bumping of shoulders is allowed there, then I assume it will be allowed throughout the rest of the match.
Because that's just always how it happens right there.
It's how, as a player, you want it to happen. Consistency, it's all you ask for. Whatever the rules are, you abide by them. But sometimes referees, they're not consistent, and that drives you mad.
Hawkins keeps it in play. Dinked into the channel for Kyle Murphy by Peebo Due. And Loudoun United applying the pressure in the opening 8 minutes or so.
Yeah, Kyle Murphy moving around from left to right. He's playing as a bit of a loose number 10 and leaving Endor up front as your main target man. So let's see if that continues.
Good footwork from the center back Hawkins. Here's Murphy. Gets knocked from behind by Lewis Hilton, and there is the consistency from the referee, who elected not to blow his whistle again. Gordon Wild gets bottled up. Good play from Master Cacher. Tall task to try to get around Fanuel Kavita. It looked like the last touch might have come off of Kavita there. Gordon Wild didn't even see it. That's why he's not protesting.
Well, there was an assistant ref 2 yards away, so if he doesn't see it either, and you don't protest that he's not going to give it. Thomas Gomez will be looking at this and thinking, well, a lot of Loudoun possession early on, but he's used to that. As I say, St. Louis don't mind if you have the possession, as long as you stay away from their box and you don't get chances in the box. So it's all going to form as far as St. Louis are concerned so far.
5 clean sheets on the year for Tomas Gomez. 7 for Jake Fennelson. Last time I checked, that equals 12 on the year for St. Louis.
Very good defensively. And that's been a battle between the two goalkeepers. Jake Fennelson starting the season, got the regular run. Then during the US Open Cup, Thomas Gomez came in and had a couple of unbelievable games. and has kept the position since.
Sometimes that's all it can take when you're in a battle with somebody for a position. You just need an opportunity, and it's a matter of what you do with that chance. Saw it with Phoenix Rising Football Club over in the Western Conference. Carl Wazinski makes a mistake on one goal, enters Zach Loudoun, and he hasn't relinquished the starting spot basically since the 4th week of the season.
It's always a situation with goalkeepers. You know, you're either in or you're out. Outfield players, you can move them around, as we see Anthony Pulis giving directions. You know, you can move them around. You can take a center forward, play him deeper, play him wide. But when it comes to goalkeepers, you're either the starting goalkeeper or you're not. Black and white.
Comes Kyle Gregg, couple of step overs, almost lost it. Tyler Blackwood takes over. Blackwood towards the byline, gets around Harry Hawkins, still with Blackwood, and a great save from Earl Edwards Jr. Still with St. Louis, Boehner going for goal, that's deflected in front. That's seemed awfully easy for Blackwood.
Didn't it just? But you made a good point there. Excellent save from Earl Edwards Jr. Yes, it is a tight angle, but as a goalkeeper, you've got to block things, especially going between your legs from that close. And goalkeeper does the job that he's meant to do. But a positive sign for St. Louis fans. And Tyler Blackwood looking the business early on.
5 goals for St. Louis Football Club since joining a number of weeks ago. And he really has burst onto the scene, vying for one of the top goal-scoring spots on the St. Louis side, only having been on the team for about a month and a half or so.
Yeah, just put those numbers in perspective. 5 in 9. Yeah, it's more than 1 every 2 games. Kyle Gregg 7 in 29. So in terms of who's hot and in form, it is certainly Tyler Blackwood.
A little bit rush there from Loudoun. It was Hilton finding Umar, but his touch is a heavy one. Cashier with a crunching challenge in the middle of the field. Umar has his pass picked off by Shane Witt.
Look at that big number 25 indoor, 18 years of age from Senegal. What a big player he is, and a great touch and such maturity for 18. Looks like Earl Edwards is trying to play it short, and as goalkeepers do more and more these days, looking to be almost a centre back at times, which doesn't always work out. So we've seen both in the USL, MLS, and in Europe, goalkeepers getting caught out more and more regularly and giving silly goals away. So we'll keep an eye on Earl Edwards and make sure he plays it safely when he does play it.
Bustamante did really well to get out of trouble there. He had 3 blue and green jerseys surrounding him. Martinez, he gives it away. St. Louis will try to counter now. And for Kyle Gregg, he had numbers going in a hurry on the left flank, but wanted to keep the ball for St. Louis, who have been doing a lot of chasing in the opening moments of this one. Master Cashier as Matt Boehner running with him. Cashier wants to put it on frame, but easy enough for Earl Edwards Jr.
Yeah, very easy. That straightforward. Wasn't hard. It was dead straight. Even bounced once. Don't think it was ever going to beat Earl Edwards.
Let's take a look at tonight's injury report, brought to you by Ortho Virginia. Bustamante has to go negative. Kyle Gregg applying the pressure. Poor giveaway in a really bad spot for Loudoun. Here's Lewis Hilton. He can't hit it from here. Goes with it for the left foot. Took a deflection and a corner kick coming up.
No doubt Lewis Hilton will take the corner kick, and he's got to be such a crucial player tonight. A driving force in midfield, and if it's my imagination, but it seems like he's just lost a little bit of energy towards the end of the season. I think he gives so much every game that, you know, the gas tank is running on empty after that US Open Cup foray of theirs. But now, good time. Get a good ball in. You've got the likes of Sam Fink, Faniel Kavita, big guys will get up there, who are brave as can be. Give them a chance to get their heads on the end of something.
Sam Fink is typically the target, the center back, tied for the team lead with goals at 7, along with Kyle Gregg. And it was the Sam Fink-Lewis Hilton connection that proved to be mighty fruitful in the US Open Cup. Lewis Hilton, 5 assists on the year. Not his best ball in, causes some trouble though. Now Sharon will settle things down. Sean Reynolds on the first time back in. Umar. There's Kadeem Dakers. Now Hilton back into the mixer. Excellent ball. Harry Hawkins gets ahead to it. And St. Louis would have another crack from the corner.
Yeah, what a good ball that was. Beautifully bent in by Lewis Hilton, right into the danger area, causing Loudoun all sorts of problems, and they do well to deal with it. And it's another corner from the other side now for Lewis Hilton.
And quickly look at the Ortho Virginia injury report. Robbie Dambrot unavailable for Loudoun United. Jepson, Dikwa, Rivas, and Thomas all out of the picture for St. Louis, as this is a St. Louis group that really has been bitten by the injury bug a couple of times this year. Hilton whips it in looking for Fink. He actually got ahead to it. Cashier. Back in from Reynolds. Cashier again. Big switch for Hilton, who just took the corner a few moments ago. Makes a nice little move, now clips it in, but nobody making the run for St. Louis, and Earl Edwards Jr. collects for Loudoun.
It's a good idea from Lewis Hilton. He's put it into a danger area. He needed either Tyler Blackwood or Kyle Gregg to read that. They were both stood together. He needs one to run forward and one to stay. And they couldn't quite read his intentions, but again, Lewis Hilton, the one providing the balls into the box, and so too Master Cashier doing a really good job there, just foraging around the edge of that Loudoun box, looking for St. Louis opportunities.
Lewis Hilton always has his head up, always looking to distribute. He's such a fun player to watch because he's one of those midfielders, and in order to be a good one, Gary, I think that you have to have this quality, but always thinking one step ahead. Not what am I going to do once I get the ball, but thinking ahead of that, what run is being made on the left side, who's checking back to the ball, where is the space? And he was one of the first signings for Anthony Pulis when he took over last year, as he's had a lot of experience with him in the past, and it's paid dividends.
And he's got the most assists for St. Louis with 5, and the most chances created with 50. So you can see that he definitely is the engine room. And you're right, he was such a good signing by Anthony Pulis.
Back out for Gordon Wild. He delivers it in, but a little bit far away from target area, and Tomas Gomez. All the way back for Hawkins. About 19 minutes gone by here at Segra Field. Still no score. One really good chance for Tyler Blackwood that was denied by Earl Edwards Jr. along the byline. But other than that, hasn't been a lot to write home about. Hawkins has to come over as the ball was intended for Kyle Gregg.
He's a player who needs to do more for me, Kyle Gregg. Earlier in the season, he looked sharp. He was getting on the end of crosses. He's such a good player. Another one of those who struggled over the latter part of the season. But you've got to give him crosses. So let's see if those wide at St. Louis can put the ball in there for Kyle Gregg.
The best clearance from Loudoun. Last goal for Kyle Gregg came in a 3-2 win against Hartford. But before that, we went about a month and a half without a goal. It was on July 28th, the game against the Bethlehem Steel. So his goals have been few and far in between. He's gone on a couple of droughts as this one comes to the near side for Cashier, draws the double team. Boehner on the first time, bit of a hopeful ball. Somehow Blackwood got a foot to it. Pops back out. Here's Kadeem Dakers. Nice little nutmeg of Elma Samo. And St. Louis will be patient. Umar. Stampede trying to do their part. The chant is Loudoun United. In for Cashier. They like him 1v1. Look at the skill, the agility, good ball in. Boehner clips it in, it's a great ball, but somehow Kyle Gregg couldn't get a touch to it, and Loudoun United escape unscathed.
That's a lovely move from St. Louis. Absolutely brilliant. So close to Kyle Gregg, the master cashier. You're right. Lovely little bit of skill here. Finds Boehner. He knows what he wants. He just puts it maybe a couple of inches too far in front of Kyle Gregg. If he gets that pass right, that's almost certainly a goal. Well-crafted opportunity for St. Louis. And I'm sure their fans will be delighted to see that, and they'll be looking for more from those players up front.
Presence of mind of Boehner, though, to pick his head up and try to find somebody inside of the penalty area is really special.
We were just talking about Kyle Gregg, but he hasn't been scoring enough. You just wonder, was the ball the right ball, or did Kyle Gregg not read it quickly enough? But that's the service you have to give him. I think if you put enough of those balls in, Kyle Gregg will score.
Fink with encouraging distribution. Dewey going shoulder to shoulder with Kadeem Dakers. Against St. Louis FC, just 2 points ahead of Birmingham and Charleston in the standings, who sit in 10th place and 11th place respectively. Birmingham in action against Hartford tonight. Gordon Wild on the other end, wants to try to get it on that left peg. Still with it, now drives towards his right, takes the shot, and a great save from Tomas Gomez. His first real action of the night.
It's a good save from Tomas Gomez. Gordon Wild wanted to get on his left. He got blocked and eventually decided, okay, I'll hit it with my right, and his right isn't that bad. He forced Tomas Gomez into a really good save. It was fairly close to the goalkeeper's body. But just being stretched a little bit there at the back, St. Louis, and a reminder of how good Loudoun can be on the attack and how careful the defense have to be of St. Louis.
Tough challenge in the middle of the park, and the foul's going to be called against Pibo Due, the captain. Looks like it'll just be a talking to from Sergi Demianchuk.
Here's that chance again for Gordon Wild. You can't let him on his left foot because his left foot is so good. And eventually he says, okay, I'll go on my right. The angle's a little bit more difficult. And Tomas Gomez having to dive to his right to make the save and push the ball away from danger, which he does.
Umar with a heavy touch, but able to make up for it. Now clips it into space, hoping that Tyler Blackwood will be able to get there. Collision with Harry Hawkins. Blackwood back on his feet, and a good recovery from Pibo Due. Frantic play in the last 90 seconds or so, and a corner kick for the visitors.
I'm just wondering if Tyler Blackwood stays down, is that potentially a penalty? Because it looked like there was contact on Tyler Blackwood. Credit to him if he gets up, but in the greater scheme of things, maybe it was a 50-50 tackle and he gets up and gets on with the game. I have seen players roll over and over and looking for a penalty in similar situations.
Credit to Blackwood, who kept going. The chances keep coming for both sides. Hilton on the corner again. Outswinger, good ball. Here's Kyle Gregg, he knocks it down, and he misses a great chance to give St. Louis an early lead.
It's a wonderful chance. He's got to bury that chance. We said if you put crosses in, he'll score. Well, he should have scored that one. It's a wonderful ball in from Lewis Hilton. He gets there. He's not under too much challenge. He's at least got to hit target and make the goalkeeper work. In fact, he wasn't under challenge. He gets up early. That's a bad miss from Kyle Gregg. Those are the ones he wasn't missing earlier in the season, and that could cost St. Louis.
Great chance for Gordon Wild and Loudoun United on one end. Kyle Gregg gets one on the other, and it remains 0-0.
I think the difference is there that Wild's effort was a tight angle. It was difficult to beat the goalkeeper. If that header's on target, it's almost impossible for Earl Edwards Jr. to save it. And if you're St. Louis, you're 1-0 up. The confidence is flowing and all's looking good. And that's what Kyle Gregg is there for. He's there to bury those chances. I just hope for his sake it doesn't turn out at the end of the game to be too costly.
Only time will tell. And for St. Louis, it could be a goal that they look back on. That could be the difference between 9th and 10th place, or even the postseason and not the postseason. Sean Reynolds called for the foul. And the winter outerwear has started to make rounds in the USL Championship. We were so used to seeing the shorts and the polos, but now coaches are bundled up like it's an Arctic tundra.
Yeah. Sweaty coaches, water breaks.
Yep, a lot.
That's all gone.
That's when you know you're playing some serious, important football, and that is the case for St. Louis FC. And Loudoun United, as we've already talked about, have enjoyed playing the spoiler role, welcoming so many of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. As Gordon Wild sends one in, it's not a bad ball. Umar gets ahead to it. It remains with the home side. Murphy back into the mixer towards the back post, but way too much on it. And a goal kick coming for Tomas Gomez.
Yeah, Murphy upset with himself. You could see his reaction after he hit that. It was too high, it was too long. It didn't give anybody up front in a red shirt anything to attack, and he knows it. We wish he could take that one again, because a good whip ball in there could have caused St. Louis defenders all sorts of problems.
Big run being made on the right-hand side. The ball comes to the left with Master Cacher. 1v1 with Chris Odoyatsem. Cacher had the defender off balance just for a moment, but lost possession.
He's playing that role, Master Cacher, that Russell Cicerone often plays wide out on the left, and I really think Cicerone's a really good player. 5 goals this season, but to be fair to Master Cacher, he looks very sharp, very positive, running at that Loudoun defense and causing all sorts of problems.
Gordon Wild gets out of trouble, has to go negative, and cleared away by Odoyatsem. Brings it down with a beautiful touch. And Daner will switch the point of attack, but hangs it up with way too much air underneath it. Indoor now, striding forward, long-range effort. It had a lot of pace behind it, but easy enough for Gomez.
Yeah, it was easy enough for Gomez, straight at him on the ground. Indoor with the effort, and it's a positive strike, so credit to him having the confidence to go for it. A really poor ball from Matt Boehner, though, across a square ball across your defensive third, and it gets picked out. But lucky for him, nobody managed to score from it, so he gets let off the hook, does Matt Boehner.
Share out of pressure, Lewis Hilton. Sam Fink just directing traffic.
One of those games, if I was in that St. Louis team, I'd be wanting to get that first goal. You don't want to leave it in a situation where it's 0-0, and A, 1 point might not be enough, and B, Loudoun can always score and you end up with nothing. So at the same time, you've got to be patient. You can't throw everything forward. So it's a tricky situation for St. Louis and Anthony Pulis. Very delicate balance. For Loudoun, have fun, play your football. Nothing's at stake. Show us the skills, and some wonderful skills they do have. But for St. Louis, they're the ones who are under the real pressure.
Well, they're under the pressure, and they're applying the pressure. Tyler Blackwood at the helm of this attack. Great little cutback, but Shane Witt stands his ground. Blackwood somehow still fighting for it. A lot of contact. Cacher now coming away with it, but he commits the foul. And Blackwood and Shane Witt going after it.
Tyler Blackwood, he has been a thorn in their side, hasn't he? Especially early on, 2 good chances. And he's desperate to do well. And he's got that energy that often comes with players who just joined a new squad to prove his value to the other players, and comes into a new environment that always energizes you. So he really is proving to be a valuable asset for St. Louis at the moment.
The Blackwood, of course, has spent some time with Sacramento as well as Swope Park Rangers. Sacramento have had a number of question marks this season in terms of how much talent they have and maybe why or why not they're higher up the table. Tyler Blackwood, as Gary mentioned, has just been enjoying life and a St. Louis kid. 5 goals since joining in 9 games as this one knocked over the top for Cashier. Here he goes again. Puts the brakes on, gets around Nelson Martinez. Good ball into the middle, looking for Blackwood, but just poked away at the last moment. Now here's Oscar Umar. Sean Reynolds. Hilton drives one to the near side. Now Greg with a feathery touch. Hilton. Long range effort from Takers. And Earl Edwards Jr. was interested just for a moment and then could see it out.
Everything up until the shot was really good there. Lewis Hilton spraying wonderful crossfield passes, some good skills to bring balls down and pass them, and eventually it comes to Dakers in his effort. He doesn't quite catch it. He hasn't got the power, hasn't got the accuracy. But other than that, some lovely play from St. Louis, and that'll no doubt please Anthony Pulis. I think what'll please him more, though, is a goal.
Segra, with its industry-leading customer service and one of the East Coast's largest fiber networks, is powering organizations of all sizes with state-of-the-art voice, data, and internet services. Whether you're a municipality, a large business, or a fledgling startup, Segra knows you can't afford to be down. Their fast, reliable, and secure solutions keep you up and running and ahead of the pack. Former Louisville man Sean Reynolds gets it back into play. All the way back for Earl Edwards. Kyle Gregg applying the pressure.
Very comfortable passing, aren't they, Loudoun? In fact, in their last match when they beat the Rowdies 2-0, they had more shots than the Rowdies, 16-10. And they had more shots on target, 4-2. So they really are a good side. And I think St. Louis have come up against, they've been unlucky, haven't they? They played Lou City last match. Lou City were absolutely fantastic. They're coming up against a Loudoun team that's found some good form. It's been, you could say in some cases, it's a little bit unlucky, St. Louis, catching teams at the wrong time, but that's all part of the game.
Gordon Wild wants to take the middle of the field with that left peg. Finding Pibo Due, puts his hands up looking for an option. Now a hopeful ball in. Goes all the way towards the back post. Adoy Atsum picks his head up. Thinks one in towards the back post. First time effort from Ndoro. It was acrobatic to say the least. And the fact that he even made contact is a miracle in itself. But it comes to nothing.
It does come to nothing. I was just wondering for a moment whether he could have got a header in. I mean, he is 6'2" or 3" by the looks of him. I wonder if he couldn't have come over the top with a header and directed it, because the shot was always a difficult one. But he is athletic, and he's a big, big striker as well. So hard to push off the ball. And if he gets some service, he'll certainly cause those St. Louis defenders a few problems.
Sam Fink with a big diagonal ball. Look how good that is for Master Cashier. 1v1 with Adoy Atsum again. Couple of stutter steps. Lewis Hilton, a positive first touch and a foul right at the edge of the area. Lewis Hilton really deceptive on that first touch. Gets Elvis Amo to bite. Amo thought that there was some simulation. Lewis Hilton says, no way, man, you caught me. And a mighty sound free kick coming up for St. Louis.
Lewis Hilton so clever there. Yeah, there wasn't much contact, but he played for it, Lewis Hilton, and right now, why shouldn't he? He's a professional. This is a game they have to win. Absolutely have to get points from. So, you know, if you have to buy yourself a foul, I'm sure there was some contact. So you can't say it was total simulation. Did he play it up a little bit? Yeah, of course he did. But if he scores from this, he won't care. Neither will his manager.
Not many others that you'd want on this free kick in the USL Championships Eastern Conference other than Lewis Hilton. One other name that comes to mind might be Carl Howarth of Ottawa Fury, who currently sit 9 points ahead of St. Louis in the table in 8th place. It is Lewis Hilton, and it's a terrific free kick. Lewis Hilton. A massive goal for St. Louis when they need 3 points in the worst way. Loudoun United 0, St. Louis 1, and it is that man again, Lewis Hilton, the dead ball specialist.
Brilliant, brilliant strike, isn't it? But he wins the free kick himself from attacking the back four, gets that chance to bury it. That gives Earl Edwards Jr. absolutely no chance. Why? Because it's in the top corner. You're never going to have a chance. It's over the wall. It's the perfect free kick. Look at that. He's pumped up. He knows how important it is. But on top of that, here's the one who wins the free kick by a nice positive run. So great credit there to Lewis Hilton. We said early on, he needs to play a big part here. He needed to drive his team forward. And that is exactly what he's just done.
Just his 3rd goal this season, but boy, it is one of the biggest goals of the season for St. Louis Football Club. They lead it 1-0, and as it stands, they are 5 points clear of Charleston and Birmingham, sitting in 9th place.
I'm sure you can sense the relief of St. Louis fans everywhere who feel their team shouldn't even need to be struggling to get into the playoffs. They're that good. But that seems to be the effect of their US Open Cup run. Took a lot of energy and a lot of buzz out of the team, and they've struggled to get it back. But now 1-0 up, they've got it in their hands. Can they hold this team in red and all their talent and the likes of Gordon Wild? That's going to be the battle now for the rest of the game. Just looking at their away form, St. Louis, only 3 wins, 3 draws, and 9 losses. So can't say they've been that good away from home. And if they have to scrap this one out, then that's what they're going to have to do.
We'll continue to keep an eye on the Hartford Athletic and Birmingham Legion game, as it of course pertains to this match as well. It's in the 9th minute, and that game is at Dillon Stadium in some less than ideal conditions in New England. Here's Boehner driving forward. Might fall for St. Louis here. Kadeem Dakers turning the corner, lost one towards the back post, looking for Kyle Gregg. Pivo Due has to take the safety valve out. And a corner kick coming up for St. Louis, who look really sharp in this first half.
You know what, when you're 1-0 up, and you're pumping, then you've got to get the second. They need to buy themselves a little bit of space. St. Louis, and while it's all looking good for them, now's a great time to strike. Obviously, if you're a Loudoun fan, you want to deal with the pressure and get back up the other end and see if you can get back on level terms.
Deep breath from the goal scorer. Not a great ball in. It squirts all the way across. Everybody from St. Louis made the run at the near post. If there had just been one person who kept going towards the back, that might have been in for a second goal. They'll go again, though. Cashier. Great move. Cashier into the middle. Stabbed away by Shane Witt. Kavita gets called for the foul. Caught Adoyatsum right across the face.
Yeah, referee has a quick word, but back to Master Cashier, so sharp in that box. Every time he goes right, left, and always seems to be an end product. This time a square ball that didn't quite come off, but you fancy that something Master Cashier is going to do is going to result in a goal. If he keeps running at the defense and doing those sort of tricks, he will get some joy eventually.
Sam Fink drives it the other way, looking to go a bit more direct. Big collision between Kyle Gregg and Elvis Amo, and it's Amo gets called for the foul. Gregg is in some pain, and they immediately call for some medical attention.
He takes the knocks, doesn't he, Kyle Gregg? He's brave, he's strong. That's why I'd always want him in my team. Gives you effort every time. And that's what we've seen from St. Louis tonight. The goal itself has come from Lewis Hilton, driving in there, winning the free kick. Possessions often come by physical battling for the ball. And early on, it was all about, do St. Louis want this badly enough to put their bodies on the line? And the answer so far is absolutely yes.
Kyle Gregg, who had 13 goals a year ago, is most certainly going to miss out on that mark as far as the regular season is concerned, unless he goes on quite the tear in the last couple of games. But Anthony Pulis has found other ways to generate some offense, and while it has been an attack that's looked anemic at times, that looks to lack creativity, they have been a side this year when the moment asked the most of them And then playing in these do-or-die games, you think back to the U.S. Open Cup, they just simply find a way to get it done. And set pieces have been at the heart of all of that.
So have crosses from out wide into the box. I think what it was in the match was a Chicago Fire, a ball from out wide. It was headed in.
Cicerone was involved in that one.
Cicerone was. He was the one who put the ball in, yeah. And they stopped doing that for a while. And that's their strength, getting balls in box and fighting for them.
About 5 minutes remaining in this first half. Lewis Hilton on another set piece. Go ball towards the back post, looking for Kavita, nods it back in. Greg on the first time, and it drills a Loudoun United player. Difficult to tell who it was with all the traffic. And Casher commits the foul. Greg, who just came back out onto the field, hit an absolute pile driver that was destined on frame.
And it has been a good first half if it sort of comes to a close for St. Louis. Should have had a second one. That man there with his header should have made it 2-0. And he'll know it, but certainly he's made up for that miss with the effort he puts in and the fighting and battling for the ball. But they are 1-0 up. If it stays that way going into halftime, I'm sure Anthony Pulis will be relatively pleased. Obviously for Ryan Martin, he wants to see more attacking from his team in red. They've had some nice touches on the ball, but they haven't really troubled Thomas Gomez too much as yet.
So look at Greg coming back out onto the field. If it wasn't for Shane Witt, I think Earl Edwards Jr. was in a bit of trouble. Bustamante, good challenge. Thinks one across Sam Fink. Misses on the initial challenge. Gordon Wild pushing Pivo Due forward. Due, delivery, indoor. Clever little back heel, shouts for a handball or something. Meanwhile, it's Gomez who falls on top of it. And Loudoun United feel hard done that they didn't get a penalty out of that.
It's hard to see if you're a referee, some of those things. I mean, they haven't gone far, so you can't slow it down. You get to see something in a split second. If your angle isn't right as a referee, you can't give what people shout for. So in the end, let's have a look at it again here. Ball comes in, or even we can't see from this angle. So what chance has the referee got? And you can't give penalties on the assumption. And the assumption it hits a hand. So unluckily for Loudoun, no joy there.
Blackwood loses possession. Gordon Wild tries to scoop it in, and Dorr really strong into that challenge. But Sam Fink is stronger in the secondary one. Umar always such a calming presence, along with Lewis Hilton in the middle of the field for St. Louis. Reynolds into the channel. Kadeem Dakers running onto it, space in front of him. Dakers maybe waited a bit too long, and Harry Hawkins able to get to it.
That's exactly what I was thinking as well. That ball was on straight away, and he waited and waited and allowed those red shirts to get into positions.
Has another chance at it, sends it across, and it gets all the way through. Nobody there for St. Louis.
See, earlier in the season, those crosses were much better quality. They were earlier. As soon as you got out wide, St. Louis, they would bomb the crosses in. Now they're taking too much time trying to get perfect crosses, and it's not happening. Let's go back to the old days. Just whip the ball in.
Back to the old days, too. You didn't get a yellow card unless you drew blood either. Maynard can just see it out into the 45th minute. Lewis Hilton with the lone goal, and it is a colossal goal for Anthony Pulis in St. Louis FC, trying to put an end to this three-game skid without having picked up a win after that five-match winning streak. And with Charleston and Birmingham nipping at their heels, 3 points would go a long, long way in sealing a playoff position, as well as making sure that you don't finish in 10th and have to travel on the road to the 7th seed which as it stands is North Carolina FC. Ottawa Fury 8, St. Louis 9, Birmingham 10. And of course, Charleston going to play this weekend. It's Tyler Blackwood sizing up the opposition once more. Boehner, a heavy touch towards the byline, but did well just to win a corner.
And I think also what's important about, as we see 1 minute of stoppage there, what's important about getting a result tonight is that the next two games, and you mentioned it earlier on, Pittsburgh away and North Carolina home. Neither of those are going to be easy matches. So tonight is a must opportunity for St. Louis to pick up 3 points.
Stoppage time brought to you by Ortho, Virginia. It is just 60 seconds. Lewis Hilton on top of another corner, already with a goal tonight. Good ball in, challenging Earl Edwards Jr., but a strong fist to it. And Kyle Murphy will help it along even further. Bustamante. St. Louis rapidly getting numbers back behind the ball. Loudoun will actually be on the road to take on Charleston this weekend. That game will be on Sunday. As that's going to do it for the first half. Lewis Hilton with the lone goal in this one, and boy, was it a beauty. Free kick from about 20 yards out in the 35th minute, and it has Anthony Pulis having to feel at least somewhat confident and comfortable heading into the dressing room. Gary Bailey, your thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, defended well. St. Louis didn't give Loudoun too many chances, and they took their one goal really well. Maybe could have had a second. And just to put things straight, it's actually Pittsburgh at home for St. Louis, North Carolina away coming up, which is why we'll be so happy with that first half. Well, the coach, Anthony Pulis, but as we always say, second half still to come. Job not done yet.
Well, we're headed to the halftime report brought to you by the National Conference Center. Don't go anywhere. St. Louis 1, Loudoun United 0 at the half. Halftime here at Segra Field in Leesburg, Virginia. And the halftime report brought to you by the National Conference Center. The National Conference Center, home of Loudoun United FC, is a corporate training facility in Leesburg, Virginia. Hosts over 14,000 individuals per month and comprises 265,000 square feet of meeting space. The National contains 250 conference rooms, an athletic facility, commissary, and 917 guest rooms. And it feels like there's 917 different playoff scenarios in the Eastern Conference at the moment, given how jumbled it has been at the top of the Eastern Conference. It's sort of reverse of what's going on in the West. The West, basically from seeds 4 through 12 or 13, however you want to look at it, it's anybody's guess who's going to finish there. In the East, it's a bit more set who's going to finish in the bottom, but as far as the top is concerned, Gary, I ask you this question right off the top of your head, knee-jerk reaction. Who do you like to win the East?
Well, given there's only 2 games left, they've played 32, you've got to think it's between Pittsburgh and Nashville. Indy would have to hope those above them lose matches and they win both their remaining games. New York Red Bulls even further off the pace, as are the Rowdies. So if you have to give me between Pittsburgh and Nashville, I would go Pittsburgh. I think they've been so solid, so difficult to beat. They're in form. They are the team. And I reckon they're going to finish top.
All right, there you have it. Gary Bailey, former Manchester United keeper, says that Pittsburgh are going to finish top. Take it to the bank, take it wherever you want, because it's going to happen. Meanwhile, for Manchester United, they will not finish atop the table in the Premier League, I promise you that. But that's neither here nor there. Let's take a look at the final playoff push. We've already talked about these 3 teams in St. Louis, Birmingham, and Charleston in terms of fighting for this final spot. Memphis, an outside chance, but really no chance when you're looking at these 3 teams. I mean, Gary, Birmingham and St. Louis right now are inside the playoff cutoff line. Charleston, if they are not to make the playoffs, they would actually be the last team to not make the postseason in any given season. They've made the playoffs in every season in the modern era of the USL. That's since 2010. It would be a wild streak that comes to an end, but when you look at St. Louis right now, they're in if they hold on for this result, in my mind. Meanwhile, for Birmingham Legion and Charleston Battery, they actually played each other this past weekend. They drew 0-0. Of course, that's how it played out. Nobody's going to separate themselves until the last game of the season. Who do you like to get in, Charleston or Birmingham?
Well, I could go either way. Their level, I agree with you, St. Louis, if they come away with a win today, they should, in theory, have enough points to get through. It's a battle between Birmingham Legion and Charleston Battery, and it's up to them to settle it. I mean, they're level on points, so it's neck and neck. What it does mean is it's so exciting for us to watch these games right up until the final game.
If you look at these 3 teams in the remaining schedule, Charleston Battery is probably one that sticks out to be the easiest. Yes. They're home against Loudoun, they're home against Memphis, they're home against Bethlehem. But then you look at Birmingham Legion and St. Louis, it's a little bit more difficult. Birmingham Legion still 0-0 with Hartford Athletic at the moment, but then St. Louis and Birmingham are taking on Pittsburgh and taking on North Carolina, and for Birmingham, they take on New York Rebels too. I mean, it's just so difficult, and that's why you don't leave it until the last couple of weeks of the season, because you want to try to get it done during the season while you're not wasting your breath in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're looking at the Legion's lineup after the match against Hartford, the last 2 are just so difficult to get points from. But that means that Charleston have to go and get points off Memphis and Bethlehem, as well as Loudoun. If they don't, then they're in trouble. If you want to have a bet right now, you're probably going to go with St. Louis and Charleston.
St. Louis and Charleston.
You got it.
All right, there you go. Pittsburgh's winning the league. St. Louis and Charleston into the postseason. There you have it. No need to play anymore. Moving through the National Conference Center, halftime report still remains 1-0 in favor of St. Louis, the visitors, over Loudoun United. Don't go anywhere.
Strike in the upper right 90. Whips it in, finds the back post. What a
finish. All these experiences are new. And the new experience is always the most exciting because it's something that you've never been a part of before. And I think that's one of the biggest draws of Greenville is to come in and to be a part of the beginning of something great.
Well, Greenville has officially been awarded a professional soccer team.
There is a big soccer presence in the upstate, and they just needed a team to rally behind. It's like, oh wow, like this is actually, this is real. And I still didn't really grasp how big it was going to be.
Racing the other way. Cuts it back. Good look. Shot coming. And then Carlos Gomez, his 4th in 2 matches. And does that seal the deal on the 3 points for the triumph?
A club is more than just the players, coaches, and front office. It's the fans. It's a whole club. We're new. No one really knows what we're about. They don't know, what we have to offer, and showing them that we offer more than just 90 minutes a week, on a Friday or Saturday night, says everything.
going to go at goal. Shot and a goal! That has to be on the goal of the week.
Now getting the time. Sam Warner, the beauty.
Oh! Blue with the bicycle!
Oh, can you see that coming?
Great save by Putton on the goal line.
And Taylor with a beautiful strike. Are you kidding?
Wednesday night soccer about to come to a close in USL Championship. Monarchs in Sacramento, not a bad way to try to wrap it up as Loudoun United and St. Louis FC still 1-0 at halftime, which of course is brought to you by the National Conference Center. Tyler Terrence along with Gary Bailey. And we'll take a look at some news and notes from around the USL Championship. And of course, we've already talked about the Eastern Conference and what's going on. 4 teams battling for 2 remaining spots, although it's more of a 3-horse race rather than a 4. But if you ask Memphis 901 FC, they might have something else to say. How about Las Vegas Lights FC? 1 point out of making the playoffs. Now, there are a couple teams that are ahead of them and have a game in hand, but when you look at Las Vegas and what they were able to do over the weekend, taking down San Antonio FC, it's incredible that after their poor run of form, especially on the road, that they're in this position. Well done to Eric Winalda making a late push, but if you don't push all the way through, was it really worth it in the end? Tree falling in the woods, nobody there to hear it. You see where I'm going with this. And how about Inter Miami and New England Revolution? They're going to have clubs that are, of course, owned by them that are going to be joining League One in the near future. So very pleased to welcome those 2 sides into the USL family. And we'll take a look at some big fixtures that are going on around the Eastern Conference this weekend, Gary. Ottawa Fury, again, they're trying to chase the likes of North Carolina FC. Louisville towards the middle third of the Eastern Conference table, if you will. Louisville City trying to get back on track after a really rough loss against Nashville last night, in which Jimmy Ockford put an incredible header. Tampa Bay Rowdies in Indy 11. That one's got my attention. I don't know about you, Gary.
And Nashville, North Carolina could be a good one as well.
Not too bad games. And look at these at the bottom as well.
That's it. That's the big battle. Charleston Battery, they've got to get 3 points from that match against Loudoun, give themselves a chance. And St. Louis, no matter what happens here tonight, it's a home game against Pittsburgh. And that's also crucial. But I guess this time of the season, every match is crucial for almost every team.
And that's going to be the final home game of the season for St. Louis FC against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, because then they'll travel to Dave Saracen and North Carolina FC. And if they do make the postseason, then, of course, they will be on the road for the remainder of the year. We'll step aside yet again when we come back. Stats and highlights from the first half. And, of course, second half kickoff. Do not move a muscle. Just about ready for the second 45 minutes here. St. Louis FC are sitting pretty, although this Loudoun United group has proven time and time again that they're always a tough out and tough to break down, especially in the second half of the game and for St. Louis FC on the road. Lewis Hilton has lone goal. We'll take a look at how the entire 45 minutes of the first half unfolded. Again, Tyler Terrence along with former Manchester United keeper and Gary Bailey. And Gary, I mean, in the opening few minutes, it was Loudoun United who were applying pressure, didn't really come to anything, and then St. Louis slowly but surely started to settle in.
Master Cashier so good down that left-hand side, time and time again. Matt Boehner with a cross just misses Carl Gregg's head, but Master Cashier has caused all sorts of problems here. Carl Gregg misses that one. It wasn't the only one he was going to miss. I'm not so sure he could have reached that one, but he did have a couple of little half chances. And this one is Gordon Wild. Now he's got a fantastic left foot, so you keep him on his right foot. You keep him on his right foot, and he goes, tell you what, then I'll just have one with my right foot, see what happens. And Thomas Gomez with a really, really good save there to push that one away from danger. Have a look at the goalkeeper. Strong hands. Pushes that one up and away. The shot from Gordon Wild.
And Loudoun United would turn this missed pass from St. Louis FC into a bit of an opportunity here. And Dor hits it with a lot of pace, but really easy enough for Tomas Gomez.
Yeah, Matt Boehner with a poor pass, and it's a decent shot, but the goalkeeper's got his body behind it. Never going to cause him too many problems. Master Cashier again trying to set things up. Lewis Hilton, brilliant there. Yeah, there's a slight coming together of feet, but Lewis Hilton plays for it. He wins the free kick, steps up, and sticks it in the top corner. Absolutely brilliant finish. He's pumped. He's delighted. And St. Louis are 1-0 up.
Lewis Hilton with just his third goal this season, but we talked about it's a goal that goes a long way in the Eastern Conference table. And now if you're Ryan Martin and Loudoun United, got to crawl back from a one-goal deficit here in the second half against a team that you know defends extremely well, Gary, and especially up a goal on the road. They may not be as daring in the second half as they were in the first, but you need to sort of ride that fine line of not sitting in, but not also being too daring and rolling the dice too much on the other end.
Yeah, plus you know that St. Louis are desperate to get the 3 points. So for Loudoun, if they want to win this, they're going to have to match St. Louis. They're going to have to put in an equal amount of effort, an equal amount of commitment. So let's see what the next 45 minutes brings us.
Well, we're officially underway in the second half. Again, Tyler Terrens along with Gary Bailey. Thank you so much for tuning in this midweek madness in the USL Championships Eastern Conference. And right off the bat, Loudoun United showing a bit of teeth. Antonio Bustamante pushing it along for Gordon Wild. Wild going for goal, takes a deflection, rolls all the way through and eventually cleared away by Sam Fink. Well done from Hilton. Almost out of the reach of Oscar Umar, but he pushes it along for Kadeem Dakers into space. Dakers, delivery, not a bad one, popped straight up in the air by Witt. And Earl Edwards Jr. says, I'll take that.
Now that's a better cross from Dakers. Nice and early, whipped in, just above Carl's head there, Carl Gregg. And that's what they're famous and well known for, quick crosses.
Dakers has his shot blocked. Kyle Murphy finding in Dor. Good hold-up play. Now Wild the other end. Can't get to it because Fanuel Kavita was stationed particularly well. Still 0-0 between Hartford Athletic and Birmingham Legion, who have 10 minutes left in the first half in the 34th. What a big night it would be for St. Louis. A Birmingham draw and a St. Louis win, as we mentioned before, you would think would be enough to make sure that they stay inside the playoff cutoff line. But again, we have seen crazier things in the world of football. This one dinked in. Here's Endor. Back-to-back games for Alioune Endor. Draws Loudoun United level, and the spoilers continue to keep on spoiling. It's 1-1 here in Leesburg, Virginia.
It's a good header, isn't it? But it's a fantastic cross from Adoy Etzem, as he did for Endor's first goal last week. It came from the right-hand side. It came from the fullback on the overlap. He's got his head up. He's looking. He gets a little bit of space, puts in a beautiful ball there. Some slack marking by St. Louis in defense to allow Endor that space. Maybe looking at Sam Fink there, but let's give the big man credit. He tucks it away in style, and now we do have match on.
What a response from Ryan Martin's group right out of the gates in the second half. And Gary, you sort of got the feeling that this is the way that the second half was going to start, because right off the bat, Gordon Wild had a semi-chance on the far wing, and St. Louis just looked a little bit flat.
Well, if they were flat, they're going to have to get their game together very, very quickly, because we've seen how good Loudoun were against Tampa Bay Rowdies. And they've gone from 3 points to 1 point. St. Louis, they don't want to lose and come away with nothing. So it's all down to the team in green and blue, what they can do here in the second half now.
Dakers putting on the moves, looking to run right past Nelson Martinez. He delivers it in. Greg with the bicycle kick attempt. It'll fall for Blackwood, and he just sends it over. Was there a deflection? Yes, there was.
Wow, chance for Tyler Blackwood. Wasn't easy, and I think all eyes were on Carl Gregg with the overhead kick because it was an audacious attempt, and everybody sort of stood back and said, can he make a contact? He misses it, and then, and only then, does the focus turn to Tyler Blackwood. And what a good chance that was for St. Louis to get themselves back ahead.
That's Lewis Hilton on the corner. Not properly dealt with by Loudoun. Blackwood was trying to turn in a lot of traffic. Greg back in, cleared away by Harry Hawkins. Kyle Murphy leading the charge. Gordon Wild looking for the big switch, finds it. Bustamante very patient there. Murphy taking the middle of the field. Elvis Amo, he lines up a shot. Good effort here. And a sprawling save from Gomez, and Loudoun United knocking on the door of a go-ahead goal.
I'm just wondering if Gomez could have held on to that. He doesn't seem happy with himself, as if from that far out he got there, he got his hands on it, and it sort of squirmed loose for the corner. Let's have a look at it again. And it's a decent shot, but it's one the keeper should deal with. He gets there and, well, maybe it did skip up. Maybe it was more difficult than you think.
Should be a handball on Kyle Murphy, and it will be.
It is a different looking Loudoun United have come out second half, and credit to Ryan Martin, he's fired them up. And they're much more positive. I don't think Anthony Pulis is going to be happy with the way that goal's conceded across from out wide into the center of the box, where normally Sam Fink and Faniel Kavita are so strong. They're so good defensively, normally, St. Louis. And they let a header come in from 3-4 yards out. I think there'll be a few words between Anthony Pulis and his defenders at the end of this match.
Umar in a little bit of trouble, being pressured by Gordon Wild. Poor ball from Gomez right up the middle, but gets bailed out by Master-Cacher. Blackwood probably should have let that run through for Kadeem Dakers. He takes it down, now finds Dakers. Big touch towards the middle of the field. Dakers going for goal, takes a deflection, and a great save from Edwards Jr. At the last second, reaches out a paw, gets a piece of it, and a corner kick coming up for St. Louis. Incredible reactions.
Yeah, there's a very good save from the goalkeeper. I don't know how big the deflection was, but it's so difficult. It's coming through bodies, it's coming through legs. Takes a deflection, it moves. Have a look, Kadeem Dakers comes in on his left, hits it, and there's a foot stuck out. So yeah, well done the goalkeeper, just to make sure that didn't go in the back of the net. Brilliant save.
Hilton this time drives it towards the back post. Murphy makes sure that Lewis Hilton can't get to it. It'll stay with St. Louis FC, though. Anthony Pulis wanting him to hold up and let Sean Reynolds take the honors. And for those of you USL Championship fans who don't get their fix in with these Eastern Conference games tonight, if you want a late night show, the Monarchs and Orange County big game in the middle of the Western Conference table. Kicks off at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Maybe head over there at the conclusion of this one here in Leesburg. It's Gordon Wild was looking to line one up, gets fouled from behind by Umar. And now a dangerous set piece for Loudoun United in prime real estate.
That's all Loudoun at the moment, isn't it? Very positive from the home side. Great response. They're attacking. They're the ones winning the free kicks on the edge of the box. Now it's just up to St. Louis to make sure that they defend and keep themselves in this game. But it's beautifully balanced here. Everything to play for. I'm still waiting on the result of the other match and how that goes and what the impact's going to have. You couldn't ask for a better end of the season if you're a neutral. You might not want this if you're a St. Louis fan, but for everybody else, they're sitting back going, wow, what an exciting end, both in the East and, of course, the West is crazy how close that is for 5 or 6 teams.
It'll be Gordon Wild. That's not a bad effort, it's just over the bar.
A good effort. You could tell it was, because Thomas Gomez was scrambling to get across, and it was dipping as well, but in the end, just going over the crossbar, much to Gomez's relief.
Settle up back through. They go a long way for the latter half of that, and it's just out of the reach of Cashier, but St. Louis will try to bottle up Loudoun United in their own defensive third now.
You start to wonder if Anthony Pulis is glancing at his bench going, well, maybe in 5-10 minutes time I can bring on the likes of Russell Cicerone, someone who can freshen things up, or maybe a Caleb Calvert. I think he'll give the players another 5 to 10 minutes at least. He's going to want to get some energy going in his team. I reckon probably Russell Cicerone the most likely to come on.
Colin Fernandez also available off the bench in the middle of the park. Calvert, as Gary mentioned, usually somebody who makes an appearance at the top of that 4-4-2. Reynolds wins the free kick. Birmingham Legion and Hartford Athletic dangerously close to halftime in the 43rd minute, still 0-0.
Not quite sure what that is from Kyle Murphy. Is he trying to win the penalty there with a judo throw or something?
You could make the argument that that foul could go against Sean Reynolds. I mean, he grabs him and throws him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think he threw. I think he grabbed him. I think the throw came from Kyle Murphy himself, trying to look for the penalty.
Clever feed from Elba Samo. Hawkins almost gave it away. Patient here from St. Louis. They've been chasing in the opening 10 minutes of the second half, and they want to make Loudoun United have to do that for a little spell.
Oh, good ball there from Sam Fink.
That's what he does, finding Cashier. Looking to cut it back. Good defending, though, from Adoy Atsem. Now here's Lewis Hilton. Stays on his feet. Good strength. Now delivers a beauty towards the back post. Blackwood back in. And the offside flag is up.
That's unlucky for Blackwood. It was a little bit of skill there and a good agility to try and get that ball back into play. Yeah, he gives a thumbs up and says, nice ball, far post, gave me the opportunity. But, of course, allowed himself to get into an offside position, which negates all the hard work. But this whole mood has changed with that Loudoun goal, hasn't it? From St. Louis looking comfortable. Maybe should have had a second with Carl Gregg in the first half with a header miss from all of, what, 3-4 yards out. And instead, the home side get back on level terms and look the better of the two teams for 5 to 10 minutes. Interesting watching Ryan Martin, they're just pushing everyone back, saying defend. It's almost if he wants Loudoun to be a little bit more aware of their defensive duties. Quite a few red shirts for pushing forward there. The excitement of playing at home, getting back on level terms, you can smell victory, but you've still got to do your defensive duties as well.
Kadeem Dakers Delivers one towards the back post. And past everybody.
It's not a bad ball, is it? I mean, to be fair, it bounces in the 6-yard box. He's got every right to look at these attackers and say, well, come on, guys. I mean, it wasn't a bad cross. You can at least try and get on the end of it.
Earl Edwards has made a couple of big saves tonight. First one came against Tyler Blackwood. And one just a few moments ago off a deflection. Tomas Gomez has had to make a couple of decent saves as well.
It's on us all even, isn't it? 1 goal apiece, both goalkeepers making the odd crucial save. Both teams will feel there's 1 or 2 chances they missed that they could have scored from. As we come up to the sort of 2/3 mark, it really is now about who wants it most. And you've got to look at St. Louis and saying your entire season is hanging in the balance. If you don't fight and scrap for everything for that last 30 minutes, then I'll be very surprised.
Murphy somehow stays with it. Murphy, great move. Kyle Murphy is in here, and he finishes it off. Loudoun United take a 2-1 lead after going down 1-0. And they are the ultimate party poopers at the moment. First it was Tampa Bay Rowdies, and now they have St. Louis right where they want them. St. Louis 1, Loudoun United 2.
It's a great finish by Kyle Murphy, but you know what? That's a long ball from way inside their own half. He's been allowed to bring it down. He's been allowed to go in the box, wins that tackle there, wins another one there, goes past, as he's gone through past 2 players, and he's brought it down before that. That's some poor defending yet again from St. Louis for both goals. There's going to be some question marks asked, but for Kyle Murphy, great skills, great ability, and a great goal.
For Kyle Murphy, his 11th goal this season, a man who wasn't even supposed to be in the starting lineup tonight. Theodore Kudi-Pietra was a late scratch to the starting 11. That means that Loudoun United only were able to play with 6 subs. Kyle Murphy enters the starting 11 with what, about 20 minutes until kickoff, and now scores the go-ahead goal in the 60th minute. You can't write stuff like this. It is just unbelievable. Now it's going to be Hunter Gorski coming on and replacing Odoyatsum for some reinforcements along the back line for Ryan Martin. Interested to see if this substitution was already planned before the goal was scored. Either way, Gorski, a proven veteran in this league. And Odoyatsum's night will come to an end after assisting on Aliun Ndor's equalizing goal in the 47th minute.
Well, I guess his job is to try and shore things up, as you say, make sure they hold on to the lead. And you just wonder after that result whether there's a whole bunch of Birmingham Legion fans and Charleston Battery fans going, wow, we're still alive, we've got a chance, because St. Louis have gone from 1-0 up to 2-1 down. And to be fair, Loudoun have come out the second half a totally different team, positive, energetic, more energetic really than St. Louis.
Here's Lewis Hilton trying to change all that, gets a little nudge from behind from Gordon Wild. Daker's lined it up. Cashier, Boehner finds Blackwood, he goes for goal, and it sneaks through! There's the equalizer! Disastrous mistake from Earl Edwards Jr., and St. Louis have life again on the road. Back and forth we go, it's Blackwood.
This is a roller coaster of emotions for fans on both sides and all the neutrals watching. Difficult to see what happened there with Earl Edwards Jr. Was it another one of those deflections in front of him? Let's have a look. Was he unsighted? Because I thought Tyler Blackwood had lost the chance there, but he gets the shot. Yeah, bad error by the goalkeeper. It's at him. There's no deflection. Comes through some legs. But it goes through both his hands. That's a goalkeeper error. And Pibo Due goes onto his knees in shock horror. And that's a lifeline for St. Louis. So their fans are up again. The Birmingham Legion fans have gone down. This is it's a real yo-yo game, this one is.
Noah Pilato coming on and replacing Nelson Martinez here in the 64th. So 2 of the 3 substitutions exhausted for Ryan Martin. Tyler Blackwood scoring his 6th goal and a St. Louis kid. Make that 6 goals in 10 games since joining. And Russell Cicerone is going to come on and replace Master Cashier, which I think everybody could have predicted for St. Louis and Anthony Pulis. And a solid night shift for Cashier, and Cicerone will come on with fresh legs, and he's always just a little bundle of energy. Now the question remains, where do we go from here?
You know what, we can't answer that for a number of reasons, because this game has been all over the place. Ups and downs and mistakes and missed opportunities, and good play from one side, good play from the other. And credit to them both, it's been great entertainment, but I wouldn't want to be a manager, especially in Anthony Pulis. I don't know what his heart rate is like right now, but wow, the excitement, and what a fantastic game it's been.
Stabbed through by Umar. Takers finding Blackwood. Here comes St. Louis. And there goes the ball.
Yeah, not his best. I say the quality of crossing from St. Louis isn't what it was earlier in the season. They were whipping in balls, great balls, nice and early, giving their strikers something to run onto. That was a feature of their game, which seems to have been lost. But again, we said it earlier, they don't care how they win this game as long as they win it. They've gone from having 3 points to 1 to none and back to 1. And I'm sure they'll be desperate to get back to 3 if they can. Another Lewis Hilton corner coming in. Perhaps another chance for the likes of Kyle Gregg or Sam Fink to get on the end of these.
In swinger from Hilton. Nodded away. Back in from Boehner. Poked along. Here's Kyle Gregg with a good chance. Blocked in front. Now here's Cicerone. Still loose. Somehow not over the line, and Loudoun United clear it away.
The heartbeat of everyone watching has just gone through the roof. The ball bouncing everywhere. Kyle Gregg gets a chance. He mishits it. Another mishit from Russell Cicerone. Has one that seems like it's going to go in the back of the net. Kicked off the line there. Such excitement.
Dakers really clever over the top. Sean Reynolds, terrific skill, finding Blackwood, cuts it back for Lewis Hilton, and it's in for St. Louis. Excellent football from the visitors, and it's Lewis Hilton, his second of the night. But hold the phone, this game has been wild enough for the moment. St. Louis 3, Loudoun United 2. 4 goals in the second half, and we still have 25 minutes to play.
Lewis Hilton, brilliant yet again, driving his team forward. This has been a magical night of soccer. It's not done yet, as you say, but Lewis Hilton picks that corner, puts his head down. You can see what it means to him. He's pumped up. The team go and jump all over him. They're excited. They picked themselves up from going 2-1 down, 3-2. Anthony Pulis is pumped up as well. Such character. You've got to give St. Louis credit. They've fought themselves back into this game through just desire and that ability to want to be in those playoffs. Brilliant from St. Louis.
Lewis Hilton doubles his goal scoring total for the season in a matter of 67 minutes. He had 2 goals coming into tonight. Now he's got 4 with the brace. Tyler Blackwood with the ultimate composure to be able to find Lewis Hilton. When so many players will just snatch at that kind of opportunity, Hilton with a calm head and a cool mind. Here comes Loudoun United. Noah Pilato, his first touch of the night. All the way for Pibo Due. And the offside flag is up. And the third and final substitution getting ready to come on for Ryan Martin. Andrew Loudoun getting set to come on to replace Kyle Murphy. We already mentioned Murphy wasn't even supposed to be in the starting 11. He puts in a solid 68-minute shift, gets his goal, but Loudoun replaces him here in the 69th.
Loudoun's got a job to do, which is get his team back on level terms. And given how porous that St. Louis defense has been, he'll be wanting to have a go and get some crosses in there. Normally, St. Louis give you nothing at the back. They keep clean sheets. They maybe score 1 and win 1-0, but they have not been good at the back. But they have been fantastic up front here tonight. And Lewis Hilton has been the driving force behind the success of St. Louis this evening.
Lewis Hilton just snatches it towards the other end. Shane Witt wants Earl Edwards Jr. to come and get it, and he will. They're just about to resume play over at Dillon Stadium in Hartford, Connecticut, as it remains 0-0 between Jimmy Nielsen and Tommy Sohn's group. Hilton somehow got it away. Dakers keeps it in play. He's got Douay beat for pace, but a heavy touch, and allows Harry Hawkins to come swooping in. Lewis Hilton has been absolutely everywhere.
He has, and we said that early on, that it would take one of the big players, either him or a Sam Fink, to make sure Anthony Pulis' team did well tonight. Well, it's Lewis Hilton who stood up just when he was needed most. His defenders have struggled. Goals have gone in that maybe shouldn't have gone in, but he has picked them up. He's dragged them back into this match. And now they have 20 minutes or so to go in which to get a precious 3 points that should see them through into the playoffs.
As it stands, St. Louis 4 points clear of Birmingham, 5 points clear of the Charleston Battery. Charleston again will be hosting Loudoun this Sunday. Blackwood from distance, and Earl Edwards Jr. had to get rid of it.
Oh, keeper not able to keep it from going for a corner there. Decent strike there from Tyler Blackwood. And a positive save from Earl Edwards, especially after that error of his, and it was an error that saw and allowed St. Louis back into the match. From Tyler Blackwood, that was the equalizer, the goalkeeper with a bad error. Got both hands to a ball and slips under his body. And he will look back and feel that that one was a big turning point in this match here this evening.
Blackwood was waiting to tee it up. Well, for one of the best defensive clubs in the conference, it has been a night that has been stolen by the production, the attacking third, as Blackwood just skies this up. Earl Edwards Jr. got totally moved out of the way, somehow still gets it.
Yeah, very lucky the goalkeeper there, allowing it to bounce. That's dangerous. And gets away with it. I think you've got to, sometimes you look at teams and you just give credit to the character of the side. A side that can pull themselves back from 2-1, and within, what was it, 10-15 minutes, you're back 3-2 up. You could see what it meant to the players. They were devastated to go 2-1 behind. Good play from Loudoun, of course, give them credit. But at 2-1 down, their heads didn't drop. They fought their way back in, and you've got to give St. Louis, up until this moment in time anyway, huge credit for that.
Everybody's always known that the character has been there with this group. You don't get to a quarterfinal in the U.S. Open Cup and take down MLS opponents without character. Meanwhile, here's Gordon Wild from distance. That had all sorts of dip and knuckle on it, but just goes over the bar. And Tomas Gomez is thanking his lucky stars.
He can hit a ball, Gordon Wild, can't he? Scored on the weekend, and his manager, Ryan Martin, will want him to shoot more often like that. That ball, as you say, dipping and moving, and beautiful strike from a player who learnt his trade in the German lower leagues. And that's probably where they taught him to bend the ball. He was a junior at Mainz.
Came over to the United States and attended University of South Carolina upstate. Not exactly the highest tier of collegiate soccer in America, but lo and behold, was found out and transfers to the University of Maryland, who has a very storied tradition. Can you give me the mascot of the University of Maryland, Gary Bailey?
I'm afraid I couldn't. Please enlighten us.
The Terrapins.
Oh, wow.
The Terps.
Okay.
If you learn one thing today, it's that Lewis Hilton can strike a dead ball, and the Terrapins.
Thank you. What I also learned is that man there, well, Edwards Jr., will look back at that one between his hands and think, I wish I could have that one again. That was a bad moment for the keeper. One of those errors that you make that you just, it's a basic error between his hands, and it's going to be a tough one for Earl Edwards Jr. If this result remains, he's got some explaining to do in the locker room.
Elvis Samo, really clever skill, and now switches the point of attack. It's Wild again. Bustamante, William and Mary product. Bustamante threading it through. Hunter Gorski wasn't quite making the run that he had hoped. And Segra, with its industry-leading customer service and one of the East Coast's largest fiber networks, is powering organizations of all sizes with state-of-the-art voice data and internet services. Whether you're a municipality, a large business, or a fledgling startup, Segra knows you can't afford to be down. Their fast, reliable, and secure solutions keep you up and running and ahead of the pack. Pressure from Dakers. He gets fouled from behind and fouled hard by Pibo Due.
He's going to play for every one of those now with 15 minutes or so left. St. Louis are going to slow down. Is that the first yellow? It's been a very clean game, hasn't it, on both sides?
It is indeed our first yellow.
But they're going to play for everything now, St. Louis, and I'm just wondering as well whether they might bring on a substitution at some stage. They've got Colin Fernandez on the bench and Gaia Bend, some fresh legs. It's Pibo Due with the yellow card. Yeah, it's a late one. The ball's gone. It's a kick on the side. Is it worthy of a yellow? It wasn't a nasty one, but
not in your day. Absolutely not.
No.
That might not even be a foul.
Exactly. But it has been a very clean game. Credit to both sides. There's been no nastiness.
Sam Fink just pumps one into the penalty area. The header's won by Kyle Gregg. Kavina knocks it down. Hilton, guess who, comes away with it. Tackles in the middle of the field, setting the tempo, scoring goals. He has really done it all tonight for Anthony Pulis.
He certainly has, and he's got 13 or 14 minutes more. He's got to push that body. He gives so much every game that by the end of the season, he must be really, really tired.
Here comes Cicerone, along for Boehner, back into the middle. Good defensive play from Harry Hawkins, but a corner kick coming up for St. Louis, and Russell Cicerone starting to get a pulse of this game.
And this is what you want to see if you're a St. Louis fan. The 3-2 is still very dangerous. You want a fourth goal. And he was waiting for a Kyle Gregg. He was just adjusting his head to put that into the net. But a fourth goal, and then eventually perhaps St. Louis and their fans can relax at 3-2 against this very talented Loudoun side. A counter-attack could take away 2 valuable points from St. Louis.
Hilton has a short option. More so to just draw an extra defender out for Loudoun United. Hilton curls it in, looking for Kyle Gregg, who knotted it down, but Endor was there. And another bite of the apple for St. Louis and Anthony Pulis' group.
Endor did well. Anthony Pulis had got that ball to go long to the back post for Kyle Gregg to get the header on it. Endor reading it well, just blocking him. Let's see what Lewis Hilton can do from this side. Of course, all of this is eating up the clock as well, which is in St. Louis's favor.
Hilton. And we'll do one more time, and precious seconds coming off of the clock.
It's a different hand signal this time. It was one hand before, 2 hands. I We used to have 1 for near post, 2 for far post. I don't know what their ruling is, but let's see where this ball goes.
This time he drives it towards the back post. Cicerone. Nice move on Harry Hawkins, dinks it in. Cleared away by Pilato. Good matchup here between Kyle Gregg and Endor.
I think the idea from St. Louis is keep the ball in the opposition half. Don't make any mistakes, just get it back down the pitch. That's what you want to do. Well, that one goes out. The idea is to try and keep the ball away from your goal as much as possible now with just over 10 minutes left, and you've got the 3 points in your hands, St. Louis. You don't allow this team of red to come at you. So getting possession and keeping it in your opponent's half is the main idea.
About 10 minutes remaining. Lewis Hilton with a brace, but it didn't come without some nervy moments for St. Louis, who had a 1-0 win, or 1-0 lead, I should say, at halftime. Loudoun United scored 2 unanswered, and then St. Louis scored 2 unanswered, and that's how we get to the 3-2 scoreline. Endor, awkwardly handled by St. Louis. Sean Reynolds goes up for it. Loudoun gets a touch. Effort here, and it's in for Loudoun United. And we're level at 3. Antonio Bustamante. And just like that, we have another equalizer and another twist to the tail. 10 minutes remaining, and it's a point apiece at the moment.
And what a goal it is again. We've seen some fantastic strikes here this evening. Bustamante hits that one just off the underside of the crossbar. Brilliant strike. Don't think it gave Thomas Gomez any chance whatsoever to make the save. But we have seen some wonderful, wonderful goals here tonight. And this game has swung from one end to the other. Endor trying to get it. The ball is not cleared yet again. St. Louis not sharp in defense. And that is smacked, I think, off the underside of the bar. Credit to Loudoun United. Question marks about St. Louis in defense. And now, as we mentioned, that 3 points has now become 1 for St. Louis.
And here comes Loudoun United. They want all 3 points. They don't just want to spoil the party. They want to end the party completely. Gordon Wild looking to take on Boehner. Good presence of mind to find Antonio Bustamante. Is it taken away by Blackwood? Good challenge.
Well, what is the last 9 minutes got left? 6 goals. It's gone end to end. It's been brilliant by both sets of strikers. It's been dubious by both sets of defenders and goalkeepers. So you just wonder what fate has in store for these teams in the last few minutes and how it's going to impact on St. Louis making the playoffs or not.
Well, now they're 3 points ahead of Birmingham in the table and 4 points ahead.
But if Birmingham win their game and Charleston Battery win their game, then they're level and 1 point ahead. So it gets extremely tight with 2 games left and 2 tough games for St. Louis. So this would not be a good result for them if it stays this way.
Terrific support group of Loudoun United have certainly seen their fair share of excitement tonight.
Draw for St. Louis would also mean 2 points from 12. Their last 12, 2 points only. Coming into the playoffs, it's worst time of the season to be dropping crucial points.
Boehner keeps it in play. Runs out of gas, though. Still remains 0-0 over at Dillian Stadium in Hartford between Jimmy Nielsen and Hartford Athletic and Tommy Sohn and Birmingham Legion. About 10 minutes gone in the second half in that one. Worst case scenario would be a Birmingham goal for St. Louis FC. Tomas Gomez comes and claims it.
Well, dare I say again, it's up to a few of the most experienced St. Louis players, such as Lewis Hilton and Kyle Gregg, to try and drag their team back into a lead, try and create a few more opportunities in the dying moments, see if they can snatch that lead back. And if I say that, they give the ball away.
Oh, what a great play from Fanuel Kavita. Stretched his entire soul to make sure that that didn't go through, because Endor was in, had it gotten past him. Hopeful ball to no one for St. Louis. Goes all the way back for Earl Edwards. Here comes Loudoun. Gorski keeps it on the ground. Stabbed away by Kavita. Helped along by Umar. Elvis Amo thought about it. Umar goes to ground and somehow comes away with the ball. Cicerone looking for the big switch. Great ball the other way for Tyler Blackwood. Blackwood going for goal and held on to by Earl Edwards.
Good save from the goalkeeper. Safe pair of hands this time around from Tyler Blackwood. And a good effort from St. Louis up front, trying to create that opportunity. But their body's not good. Lewis Hilton in the middle, they're trying to get back. They're really getting stretched now these last few minutes, pushing up front and then trying to get back to defend. Here he is. He's worked so hard, Lewis Hilton. He was the one who was pushing a few moments ago. Then he's back defending, looking for opportunities to try and be creative. And you've got to use the likes of Russell Cicerone because he's got fresh legs.
Tyler Blackwood still fresh into the 86th minute. 1v1 situation here. Blackwood sends it into the penalty area, cleared away by Hawkins, but it should be a corner.
Doesn't matter how you score the winner, and that's, I assume, what this would be if it went in. Another set piece, another chance to get the big guys on the end of it. Another move that involves Lewis Hilton, who's been at the center of absolutely everything here tonight.
Hilton somehow gets through, shouts for a handball. Kavita turns, back for Sean Reynolds. Hilton back into the mixer. Header snapped on, loose in front, and Earl Edwards claims it.
Keeper does well. I think it was Kyle Gregg who was going in there, and to be fair, the striker pulled out of the tackle. I don't know what they're arguing about now. Or was it Sam Fink who was in there? But the goalkeeper bravely coming through and getting the ball. And now it's all pushing and shoving and arguing, and I'm not quite sure what about. But it was a little opportunity there, wasn't it? The ball was bobbling around in the box, and they were trying to get a shot there, St. Louis. And it's Sam Fink, who, to be fair to him, he doesn't go through. And in fact, he gets knocked at the end of it. And the referee stops it just to make sure he's okay. And they're still arguing. I'm not quite sure what they're arguing about. Tensions running high with all these, just a few minutes left and so much at stake. And St. Louis just hoping that something would fall for them in the box, and it didn't.
Bustamante sliding it through for Endor, but Sam Fink is right there. Good defending from the captain.
Oh, crucial defending. If Endor was through there, it was game, set, and match.
Dangerous square ball in the middle of the field. Can St. Louis capitalize? Harry Hawkins goes down. Loudoun United fans feel like the ball should be in favor of the team that's wearing red.
A crucial moment here for both sides to just get themselves sorted, especially for St. Louis. For Loudoun, you know, a 3-3 draw. Lessons learned, some good plays, some good goals. The points don't really matter to them that much. But for St. Louis, a goal now would be worth gold. Just to get an extra 2 points and get some distance from Birmingham Legion and Charleston Battery. Is there a little bit of a contact here? Let's have a look. Dakers. No, I don't see much. Maybe there's something on the back of the leg that we didn't see there on Harry Hawkins. He's fine though, he's up and about. So are we going to be treated to more drama in the last few minutes? We've had enough of it already tonight.
Well, with the way that this game has gone, we could expect probably about 2 or 3 goals in stoppage time alone. If there was ever a moment for some late drama for St. Louis Football Club, now is the time. Home against Pittsburgh, at North Carolina FC to finish up the season. Hilton. Sean Reynolds has his delivery denied. Harry Hawkins back out onto the field. Knocking on the door in the 90th minute.
Well, St. Louis on the attack all the time. The ball's in this part of the field. Their fans will be a little bit more relaxed.
Good news for St. Louis. Hartford Athletic has taken a 1-0 lead.
Oh, drama.
Header flicked along loose in front and poked away by Loudoun United. The visitors will go again. Back out for Reynolds. Lofted in. Sam Fink was there. Pinballs around a little bit. Fink again. Dewey clears it away. Only as far as Umar. He elevates for the header. Goes back out wide for Reynolds. Reynolds sends it in. Nodded away by Loudoun United, and a corner kick for St. Louis FC as we're into stoppage time.
Oh, great effort there from St. Louis. Really piling on the pressure here in the dying moments. Getting the ball in the box. Trying to throw heads at it. Trying to throw bodies at it. Trying to get that ball over the line for those vital 2 extra points. Is it going to happen for them with this corner?
Cleared away, but it's going to be a foul coming out on the other end as St. Louis get called for the push.
Well, if their opponents start losing, such as Birmingham, maybe this point will be a good point. Maybe for Ryan Martin, he'll be happy with his performance of his team. Anthony Pulis might take the point and say, well, if Birmingham lose, we're a point closer to the playoffs.
And now it's 2-0 to Hartford. 2 goals in 6 minutes for Jimmy Nielsen's group. So just as Gary said, the point looks a little bit better now with Hartford Athletic comfortably ahead. As Dakers gets taken down, now a dangerous set piece coming up for St. Louis. As we're into stoppage time, which is 3 minutes, and we're almost halfway through the stoppage time, which is brought to you by Ortho, Virginia. And a yellow card for Elvis Amo.
Yeah, a very late tackle from Elvis Amo there, worthy of a yellow card, I would think. He was, there was no doubt that he was just trying to stop his man getting through. Have a look coming up there. It's a little bit too late, always going to get you in trouble with the referee. Now another Lewis Hilton free kick and another chance for a goal for the likes of Sam Fink and company.
Maybe just a touch too far to strike this on frame. And the way that he's approaching it, it looks like it will be delivery. Hilton looking for Kavita, nodded away. Dakers trying to turn the corner. Puts it in, keeps it low. Poor clearance from Witt. And it's going to be a goal kick as Cicerone got the last touch.
Lewis Hilton chasing again. What a performance he has put in here today.
And Dora takes it away. Now it's Gordon Wild. Loudoun United won all 3 points. Wild still with it. Still has it, sends it across, and cleared away by St. Louis. Here's Dewey. Pilato. Back for Dewey. Number still available for Loudoun United. Dewey sends a good ball in.
Oh, drama right up until the dying moments in this game. I think a sigh of relief from most St. Louis fans. Or is there?
Nodded along. Amo brings it down, and it's Elvis Amo Loudoun United steal all 3 points at the death.
This is incredible. What a game. A goal in the dying seconds. Just when I thought it was all over, they pop up. Great credit to Loudoun. They've kept going. They've kept pushing. Once again, not the best defending from St. Louis. It hasn't been a good night for their defenders, but brilliant entertainment all round. 7 goals, drama right up until the dying moments. Well done, Elvis Ammo. Well done, Loudoun. Absolutely brilliant game. And here's that long ball knocked through. Sam Fink doesn't win the header. They don't win the ball here. They don't stop him getting to it. Thomas Gomez looking at his defenders saying, what are you doing? Got to get to the ball quicker. But with the dying seconds, if you had a microphone there, Anthony Pulis now, I wouldn't want to hear what he's saying.
Well, what on earth is that going to do to St. Louis's playoff hopes? Only time will tell. The good news is that Birmingham is stumbling right now at Dillon. The bad news is that Charleston has a few games where they should be able to get points. I think St. Louis thought the same thing heading into this game. Epic drama here in Leesburg, Virginia, and that's going to do it. Loudoun United when St. Louis Football Club were starving for 3 points towards their playoff hopes, get nothing. Here in the DMV area, Ryan Martin's group take down another side in the playoff picture in the Eastern Conference table. First the Rowdies, now Loudoun United. Gary Bailey, what on earth do we think of this one?
You know what? First things first, credit to both sides. We've had 7 goals. We've had the match flow. Ahead for St. Louis, then ahead for Loudoun, then ahead for St. Louis, and then ahead for St. Loudoun. Brilliant, brilliant effort from both sides. Loudoun, with nothing to play for in terms of the playoffs, still gave a fantastic, fantastic performance. St. Louis battled back, and they put their souls on the line as well. In the end, bad defending from St. Louis, I think, separated the two. But I think credit to both sides. And St. Louis, well, they have to pick themselves up and go again against Pittsburgh and North Carolina. And for Loudoun, as you say, 2 great victories back to back.
Full-time score presented by Segra, 4-3 in favor of Loudoun United. And for a St. Louis club that is finishing up their season against 2 of the best sides in the Eastern Conference, they now will have to make sure that they get some sort of results out of those games, or hope that the likes of Charleston and Birmingham don't get results out of theirs. And really, when it comes down to it, Gary, at this point in this season, you want to make sure that the destiny is in your own hands. Right now, it still remains that way, but it gets that much more difficult when you're hosting the Riverhounds on the road against Dave Saracen and North Carolina FC. And for this Loudoun United group, I mean, it is just an unbelievable win, an unbelievable couple of weeks. And we'll take a look at the full-time highlights. And Gary, I mean, 7 goals, 6 of them coming in the second half. Here's the foul that leads to the opening goal for Lewis Hilton. Little did we know there'd be half a dozen goals later.
Lewis Hilton doing brilliant to win the free kick and take it and stick it in the top corner. And at that stage, you thought, well, St. Louis are playing well. Carl Gregg missed a header that he should have buried. You thought, well, you know what? This is going to be St. Louis's night. But just after halftime, Loudoun came back, and did they come back in style? They were much more positive in the second half. Adoy Edson with the cross, and Dor with the back of the net, and suddenly it was game on. And it wasn't just that goal. You thought, okay, well, maybe it's going to be a draw, and the drama just went from one team to the other, because this long ball through, Carl Murphy is allowed to bring the ball down. He beats Sam Fink. He cuts in. He goes past the next defender, goes round the goalkeeper. And at that stage, it's 2-1 to Loudoun.
And you thought that they were going to play the spoiler role again, and Kyle Murphy with a clinical finish. He wasn't even supposed to be in the starting 11, and he plays a massive role in this one. But hold on a second. Just a few minutes later, Tyler Blackwood gets a great chance here on the back post. There's a mistime header coming from Peebo Due, but what on earth is Earl Edwards Jr. doing?
That goes, he's got both hands to it. It goes under his hands, under his body. It's a goalkeeper error, no question, but credit Tyler Blackwood for the shot on target. They were back on level terms. And you think, okay, well done, St. Louis. You're going to get a point out of this. And then they keep going. They keep pushing forward. Ball's going to get whipped in here. It's going to end up at Lewis Hilton. What does he do? He sticks it in the corner. Now it's St. Louis ahead by 3-2.
Just his second multi-goal game of his career. He doubles his scoring output for the season in a matter of 67 minutes. This goal comes in the 67th. So now, St. Louis FC ahead but then awkward defending again from a group that's been so solid at the back, and Bustamante just hammers it home, and we're level again.
Yeah, off the top of the crossbar, Bustamante, goalkeeper's got absolutely no chance from there. It's level pegging. You're thinking, all right, well, fair enough. Both teams have played extremely well. Maybe they both deserve a point each. Then we go into the dying seconds, 93rd minute of 94. Again, poor defending St. Louis. Sam Fink doesn't get the header. Elvis Amo gets on the end of it, and he has the winner with seconds left in the match.
Well, it was the longest stretch in the second half that we had without a goal, 13 minutes, and Elvis Amo puts the exclamation point on what's been a magnificent 2 weeks for Loudoun United against some of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Here are the full-time stats provided by Segra. I mean, this is a shootout if I've ever seen one. It was just such a fun match. Again, for the third-party observer, you couldn't ask for anything better. For the St. Louligans in St. Louis, I mean, they're holding their breath for these next couple of weeks.
They certainly will be. But look at that shots on target. Normally it's 4s and 3s, but it's 10 versus 8. So you know what? Credit to both sides for an unbelievable match. St. Louis are going to have to dust themselves off, get ready for 2 more huge games. Yeah, their fans are going to be biting their fingernails to the end, but for all the neutrals, it's going to be an incredible end to the season, and there's still great hope left for St. Louis. The way they play tonight, they can still get the points they need.
Well, ask any expert in the sport, and it's the teams that don't have anything to play for that prove to be the most dangerous. Well, just ask St. Louis Football Club about that theory. It proved strong once again. A 7-goal shootout, 6 of them coming in the second half, and it's Loudoun United, who took down Tampa Bay just a few days ago, who now take down St. Louis as their most recent victim. For our entire crew and Gary Bailey, Tyler Terrence saying so long for now. The final score, Loudoun 4, St. Louis 3. We'll talk to you soon.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.